In the last 48 hours, YNW Melly and YNW Bortland were both charged with witness tampering. Also, the deposition of State Attorney Michelle Boutros was released, where she says the lead detective on the case, Mark Moretti, asked a BSO deputy to lie on the record. And Melly's defense team filed more motions trying to get rid of the Apple iPhone pedometer analytics and the gang detective Danny Polo's testimony. All hell has broken loose. There's more charges and more depositions and more motions to go over. So hit subscribe. Let's go right into this one. Here we go. All right, so it has new charges right here. Example of escalating tensions between the prosecutors and the defense lawyers. The state's case on the tampering charges relies on the testimony of people in jail for major offenses, says defense lawyer Daniel Ayerson. That's not Melly's lawyer. That's just a random lawyer talking about the topic, by the way. But these witnesses have vested interest in lying to get a reduced sentence. Prosecutors released a probable cause affidavit late Wednesday describing how Demons Henry and Broward jail inmate Terrence Mathis came to be charged with tampering in the case. According to the document, Demons relayed messages to Henry through Mathis, instructing Henry to talk to Demon's girlfriend out of giving a sworn statement out of court or testifying in court. Investigators believe Mathis and Demons are fellow members of Bloods. This Mathis guy has been in custody since 2017, accused of murder. That's great. So Melly apparently is trying to keep his ex-girlfriend quiet through a chain of 2 other people. You cannot be talking to witnesses when you're charged with murder. If this is true, he's an idiot, but who fucking knows? So this is Melly getting the new witness tampering charge right here.
Okay, sir, like I said, your attorney's with us in court today. You're charged with tampering with a witness to withhold testimony in a capital life felony, and I did find probable cause for that out of charge.
You said I did find probable cause for that too, right there.
I think your recommendation was?
No bond.
No bond. In defense?
I don't think there's probable cause. What the document shows in the probable cause affidavit is that other people did things, but it doesn't say what Mr. Demons did. There is one passage in it where somebody overheard him say something while somebody else is on the phone. Other than that, this is other people doing things. So I don't think there's probable cause. And if there's probable cause, then I say a standard bond.
Okay. Well, the argument on probable cause is reserved. I did find probable cause based on the allegations, but you can bring that up in the division later on. Allegations here in the history, I ain't going to set a no bond on that.
All right, so basically Melly's team is saying there isn't probable cause and other people were doing stuff. Basically the other inmate and maybe Bortland, but not Melly. That's what they're hinting at. They're throwing Bortland under the bus again. All right, boys, if you want to see Uzi, Yachty, Trippie Redd, or Skies live on tour this fall, click the link in the description and buy some tickets down below, all right? Some sick fall tours for those 4 artists right there, so go cop some tickets right now. Back to the video. We got the deposition of Michelle Boutros, who is one of the state attorneys, who apparently overheard Detective Moretti lie about the whole situation about deputy being present inside the room when he got the search warrant and took Melly's mom's phone. Would you say your name and occupation? Michelle Boutros, and I'm an attorney, prosecutor for Broward State Attorney's Office. Stuart Aldestein is one of Melly's lawyers. He says, I want to thank you for coming in today, especially based upon the fact that on Friday, September 22nd, we were informed by Miss Bradley that you were out of the office. I am out of the office. Just in all defense, I'm out of the office. And I'm recovering from redacted. So I've been working from home. How long have you been with the state attorney's office? 20 years. Are you signed to any particular unit? I'm on the public corruption unit. And how long have you been there? 2 years. They investigate public officials who are engaged in alleged criminal conduct. Jeez. You got involved in this case, I'm led to believe, at the request of a particular prosecutor. Is that correct? That's correct. Who is it? Christine Bradley. So the main prosecutor. Okay. I wasn't personally contacted by her. How it came to me was Christine Bradley asked for assistance on tampering case as it related to Jamel Demon's mother. And the allegation was that she was tampering with 2 witnesses who were failing to appear. And it was assigned to me by my supervisor, Chris Coloran, who asked me to investigate whether there was indeed tampering. So this is clearly about Melly's girlfriend, Mariah, and Felicia Holmes, her mom, who was on the stand during the trial, but they still haven't been able to really talk to Mariah at all because she's like basically on the run, avoiding talking at all costs. And just so you know, my job primarily is to work on these investigations, to work with the law enforcement, and then to make a filing decisions that are ultimately approved or not approved by the main office. You know when that request was made or when you were assigned the investigation? It was either very late September or beginning of October. What year? 2022. Damn. So this incident happened very quickly because she was told to investigate it in October or September of 2022, and then the situation with the wrist occurred in October of 2022. Damn, like the same month that shit went down. Did she describe why she thought Jamie King was tampering with those 2 witnesses? The original suspicion, and I'm under the understanding that this is tamping investigation hasn't been closed. Tamping. So they meant to say tampering right here, whoever typed this. But so the last Brady notice that was sent, or the last something that was sent, suggested that the tampering with the witness case has not been closed as of yet. I can look at my notes. please do feel free. Wait, so they still think... I think she's suggesting that Melly's mom is still under investigation. Stuart says, we got a Brady notice this morning. Well, last night. Oh, I've not seen this Brady notice, is what she said. Okay, actually, we were advised by her that the investigation was closed. Okay. The IA, but the tampering she stated is still open sitting on her desk, and she needs to get working on it. Miss Liberty, that's another lawyer. So Benjamin and Liberty are also Melly's lawyers, to clarify for you guys. As a result of that, I assume that at one point you subpoenaed Miss King into your office. I did, she says. You recall when that was? I sent her a subpoena beginning of October 12th, statement to be taken here at the State Attorney's office in this conference room. Did she appear? Yes, she did, with her attorney Robert Trackman. Who was present besides yourself, Mr. Trackman, and Miss King? Detective Mark Moretti from Miramar Police Department. And at the very onset of the statement, Sergeant Hendrick from Broward Sheriff's Office was standing in the room. I assume Miss King and Mr. Trackman were sitting on the opposite side. Correct. Mr. Trackman was sitting where Mr. Benjamin was sitting. After you introduced yourself, did you immediately go on record? We did. Okay. Were you aware that Detective Moretti was going to serve a search warrant? I knew Moretti had the search warrant because I'm the one that approved the search warrant. I was unaware that he's going to serve it during that statement of Miss King, and I really hadn't even thought about it. Damn. So she didn't even know that Moretti was going to ask for the phone in that room at that time. I never had that happen before. I just assumed he would serve it that night or in the morning or after they left, and he didn't tell me he was going to, but we didn't discuss that he was going to. Did you know, or did anybody articulate the presence of the deputy was to have jurisdiction over the service of the search warrant? No, it wasn't discussed. So my assumption is that Moretti had summoned BSO to be here for the service of the search warrant. I didn't have anything to do with that. So when Sergeant Hendrick was in the room, that's the BSO deputy, didn't really think about why he was in the room. It didn't occur to me. I have deputies in the room all the time when I take statements, and I didn't think about it. And that was never articulated to you? No, it was not. Who questioned Miss King? Primarily, Detective Moretti questioned Miss King. Okay, what was his demeanor during the questioning? I think he was frustrated. I wouldn't consider him being disrespectful. I think he was just asking questions like detectives ask questions. There was nothing during the statement that I was alarmed by. It might have not been my style or someone else's style. And I don't know Moretti. This is the first case I've worked with him. People have different styles, and it's not my job to say that his style was bad or good. I didn't find that it was crossing any line. Okay, during the course of the statement, did the BSO officer leave? He did leave. Okay, do you know when? It was there shortly after, and I don't want to tell you exactly how long, but it was long after the search warrant was executed. Okay, you said Moretti got frustrated. Did there come a time that it became somewhat aggressive by Detective Moretti? Yes. And what happened was that it was almost in the middle of the questioning or towards the end that he served the search warrant upon Miss King and Mr. Trackman, and I was just sitting here while he was serving the search warrant. And she, I don't know if her phone was in her purse or she had it like on her lap or something, but she started grabbing for her phone when she realized that he was trying to seize it, and she was doing something on her phone. He kept saying she's trying to turn off the phone. She absolutely could have been trying to turn off the phone. I don't know really what that means. Miss Buckaloo would. She's the phone expert. But he kept saying, you're trying to turn off the phone, you're trying to turn off the phone. And I think I even reiterated, you have to give him the phone. So she was telling Miss King to give up her phone, but Melly's mom was trying to turn it off apparently. That's what they were saying. That's what the police are saying. I wasn't even thinking about the deputy leaving. I was just like taking off guard. I was like, I wanted to quell the situation. So I tried to calm her down. I tried to calm the room down. Did Mr. Trackman get involved in this service? Yes, he did, because they were literally sitting the same distance, guesstimate to be 8 inches maybe between you and the court reporter. And I think he got brushed upon as Moretti was grabbing the phone from her. So he's reaching over the table, or he walks around the table, and there's almost like a scuffle. A scuffle between whom? Miss King and Moretti. Did you see Moretti touch or strike Mr. Trackman? I saw him brush against him. I don't believe there was any intentional touching though. Jesus, a little scuffle was ensuing between Moretti and Melly's mom. Was Miss King advising Moretti that she had to get some phone number for her employer? She was. What she said was, I need to call my boss. I need to call my boss. And he kept saying no and kept saying no, and then grabbed the phone. When he grabbed the phone, Miss King screamed. So I didn't actually see what happened to her. I knew that it was something on her hand that she said was injured, and I saw that he was grabbing from her. I can't testify as to exactly what the contact consisted of, but it was very uncomfortable to say the least. At this time, there was never a BSO officer in the room, correct? There was not a BSO officer in the room, and as you can see from the size of this room, I would have noticed if there was a BSO officer deputy standing there. Did Moretti eventually take the phone from Miss King? He did. Do you recall if Miss King asked for any phone numbers? She did. She wanted the phone number for her employer because she was going to work or had to be work later that evening. And I asked Moretti if he could get the phone number, and he was trying to get into her phone and he couldn't. And I was trying to facilitate. I even told her she can use my phone, and she was unable to. Moretti said, you can't have your phone, you can't have the phone numbers, and you can't. That's it. Bro was being harsh, but apparently that was an illegal search warrant because a BSO deputy wasn't in the room present, and it was out of his jurisdiction. That's what Melly's side says. Did the statement continue? No, the statement didn't continue, but I believe we went back on record, and maybe there were a few more questions asked. I don't want to say. Did a BSO officer ever arrive? Yes. After the phone was seized, Robert Trackman and Miss King left the room. They went outside. At that point, deputy, who was unknown to me, at least by appearance, came into the room and stood again where Patanzo is sitting right by the door. And just for the record, right next to the door into this conference room, And after that, Miss King and Mr. Trackman left the room, correct? So here it is right here. Detective Moretti, when the BSO officer arrived, looked at the BSO deputy and said, you need to say you were here when I served the search warrant. Did that particular BSO officer respond? I didn't hear him say anything. It was very awkward. At that very moment, I was like confused about that. It just happened, first of all. And the deputy was just kind of like looking like he didn't know what to do either. I don't recall Deputy Gorell saying anything additional at the moment. I can't swear that he didn't, but if he did, it was not an agreement with Moretti. It was not an affirmation that he was going to say he was in the room during the search warrant. It was nothing. He may have said, all right, thanks, have a good day or something along those lines, but nothing substance and nothing directed towards Moretti's request. A solicitation to have him lie. Do you specifically remember Detective Moretti saying to the BSO officer that if asked, you were here when I executed the warrant? Correct. Okay. 100%. Fair enough. And in fact, you documented that, did you not? I did document it, not that day, but what I did do on that day is I reported immediately to the state attorney in charge of public corruption, Christopher Colleran. Did he have any comments to you? Very upset. I mean, we were both very upset. And it was at that time that I told Mr. Colleran that I would no longer work on this case and I would no longer work with the detective. And I wanted to discuss it with administration. Yeah, because this detective just did something out of his jurisdiction. Like, that's a big no-no. Huge no-no, boys. You're not supposed to do that. And it could up the entire case doing this. This is a big witness tampering allegation against Melly's mom. And they never gave any of this information to Melly's defense. And this happened a year ago before the first trial. Think about that. This was even before the first trial we just saw like 4 or 5 months ago or whatever, back in June. She's saying that she documented it and sent it to Brittany Parker at Miramar Police Department. When you said we discussed it with this IA sergeant, did you tell her verbally on the phone that Moretti solicited a BSO deputy to lie? I did. And actually what happened was at the time I didn't remember Deputy Gorell's name, so I actually had to look back in my notes. Was Christine Bradley notified? She was notified after the meeting on 10/18. I can't tell you what day they spoke with her. I just know that a day or two later, Chris Colleran told me that administration spoke to Christine and that she relayed to them that Moretti said it because that he was joking. That doesn't seem like a joking manner, dude. To say to a BSO deputy and be like, yeah, make sure you were in the room. And then the BSO deputy didn't even respond apparently, and like just said nothing, not even a fucking chuckle or any response. Okay, here's a big question right here. Was there any discussion that the incident should be disclosed to the defense counsel of Mr. Demons? I think at that point, you mean during our October 18th meeting. Yeah, I think at that point, we all assumed it was getting disclosed. I know me and Chris did. And I can only assume that Gina and Harold did, but I can't tell you what was in their mind. I just know that if I report something to another prosecutor, it's fair for everybody, including administration, to assume that he's going to handle it in accordance with the rules. Our supervisors and our administration doesn't check our pleadings. That would be a job undoable. Like, we have hundreds of attorneys. You don't check every pleading. So I can't tell you for certain that they assume that, but I can tell you that that's what I assume. That's what Chris assumed. And you came to the conclusion that that was Brady material that should be disclosed, possibly Brady material that should be disclosed to the defense. This is my belief of Brady. Fair enough. And I'm not saying anybody else is wrong. If they disagree with me, that's their perspective. If that's something that could potentially impeach a witness, that there's a credibility issue, that it's disclosable and should be disclosed immediately. That is how I would have proceeded. I cannot say what was in the mind of Christine Bradley. But basically what she just explained right there. Everyone in this meeting thought the lead prosecutor, Christine Bradley, was going to disclose this. At least that's what she's saying. But she never got any confirmation or anything. And she believes that she should have disclosed it, but apparently she never did. I didn't know that she hadn't disclosed it. I don't know if there were other conversations that took place at the time with Christine about disclosure. I just know that when I spoke with administration on the 18th, they were equally upset about what happened and equally concerned about how to handle it from that point forward. Holy shit, they were panicking, dude. Did you learn later that the incident was never disclosed to the defense? Oh shit, here we go, boys. I did. And I may ask when you learned of that. Well, the first thing that happened, I mean, I'm going to tell you it's in July, but there's a build up to that, so I didn't just randomly learn that it wasn't disclosed. The first email that I got was in the beginning of July 2023. My assistant sent me a message that Brittany Parker from IA wanted to take my statement. Okay, as a result of receiving that email, did you have any discussions with the administration or with Christine Bradley? I did not reach out to Christine Bradley. I've never spoken to her again since the onset of this incident. Wow. This is like causing issues in the state attorney's office. She hasn't even spoken to another prosecutor in the same office since this incident. I decided not to move forward with the tampering case because I wasn't going to work with a detective who was willing to do such a thing. When you say such a thing, are you talking about the physical or lying or both? The lying. Ooh. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I probably could have gotten over the service of the search warrant with, you know, saying that really was inappropriate. The request to Deputy Gorell to say he was there was problematic for me because you knew it was a lie. I knew it was a lie. Dude, this is such a bad look for that detective. The lead detective, the guy that investigated this whole case, is being called a liar by an ASA who's been working for over 20 years. I mean, it wasn't a joke because it happened. My perception was that it wasn't a joke. I mean, if someone else thought it was a joke, then that's fine. But in my opinion, it's not a joke. Mr. Benjamin, using all your common sense that you learned your entire life and listening to the statement uttered by Detective Moretti, was there anything about the way he said it or how he said it and any further comments that he attached to it that would indicate to you that it was said in a joking manner? No. So there was no context or any way he said it that sounded like it could be a joke. Crazy. Did he say haha or laugh when he said it? No. Did he say anything afterwards to say or indicate to anybody that it was in a joking manner? No. All right, here's another big point right here. So this date of August 30th, Miss Bradley clearly had been advised and was aware that Moretti asked the deputy to lie. Yes, Miss Bradley knew that in October of 2022, and she knew of the IA investigation as it began in the beginning of July of 2023. What a terrible look for Miss Bradley. She knew her lead detective lied about a search warrant on the defendant's mother. If there is some evidence presented or out there that the state attorney's office gets that a sworn police officer in Broward County asked another one to lie in a case involving a first-degree murder with death on the table, which division of the state attorney's office would investigate that? It would be the Public Corruptions Unit. If it was one of our own prosecutors, I would assume that we'd have an outside agency investigate that. And to your knowledge, up until today, has there been any referral to an outside agency or any investigation has commenced about the bold-faced request from Moretti to have the deputy lie? You know, I think at this point that everyone is still in the information gathering stage of it. For instance, you just handed me a Brady notice that was filed yesterday that I hadn't seen, and I don't know if the administration has seen. And to your knowledge, the fact of Moretti, the lead detective in the murder case, and the affiant on countless warrants that were served for various reasons, was never disclosed during that criminal trial, correct? Not that I'm aware of. Jesus Christ, dude. Christine Bradley and Moretti screwed this whole case up for the state, dude. I mean, they have another state attorney here admitting that they hid information from the defense. That is so bad. You said that Christine Bradley said it wasn't Moretti she spoke to about the joke. After they met with her on the 20th of September, she told them that it was in response to Mr. Pryor's question because they were trying to be thorough, give everybody the benefit of the doubt. They want to make sure everybody is accurate. He asked her, who told you that it was Moretti that was joking? She responded and she says, Moretti. As a prosecutor, when you see something happening in front of you, especially as it relates to a criminal defendant, and it makes no difference to me if this is a first-degree felony or a double capital homicide, it's a lie when a deputy asks or a detective asks another detective to lie. Then you have to report it regardless. I have to report it. My moral compass says you report it. Anything that the jury is going to go about is something that I want the defense to know, because I know what happens when you don't report it or if you inadvertently leave something out, and there's never time that's worth it. Miss Boutros, my understanding is that Miss Bradley accused you of lying about your testimony in this case to others. Do you know about that? I do know about it. I learned about that not yesterday, the day before. So now apparently Miss Bradley, the lead prosecutor, is saying that Miss Boutros is lying. She's a liar. Holy shit. The whole state attorney's office is a goddamn disaster, dude. And she said that I was a liar and that I'm going to get in trouble because I said that I didn't see Moretti turning off the phone in my statement. I didn't see King turn off the phone in my statement. And Mr. Killoran told her that's not what I told IA. I mean, she's got her phone in her hand. She's messing with it. He's saying she's turning off her phone. Yeah, I think she's turning off her phone. So it was just about, Bradley's just saying she's only lying about the specific part, whether or not Melly's mom was turning off the phone or not. This is all a clusterfuck. What a disaster, dude. So she says she sent Christine Bradley a text saying, I'm really sorry you got a hung jury. You did a great job. I know nothing about what's going on during this whole time. I wasn't there's never been an issue. So she's saying that she never had a falling out with Christine. This is just weird, dude. And that's it. That's the whole deposition of Michelle Boutros, one of the ASAs, that says Moretti lied and he wasn't joking, which is a serious accusation, and that the state attorney's office did not disclose it to the defense for over a year. Now we got another motion to return personal property to Jamie King. Apparently they still haven't gave her phone back that they took from her a year ago. And then now another motion literally today. Defendant Jamel Demon's motion and eliminate to exclude certain testimony of Detective Mark Moretti regarding Apple Health pedometer. So the footsteps that was talked about a lot in the trial, where Melly's phone was seen walking around 1,300 steps around the time of the murders and him leaving the cars and shit. They want to get that out of the trial, basically, is what they're saying. So Miramar Police Department's methodology is not scientifically valid and therefore not reliable. My phone says 1,300 steps, 1,340, right? Now it says 1387 after shaking my phone for 20 seconds. So yeah, I mean, a little sketchy to include that, but I get it. It is pretty solid evidence for people with common sense, kind of. But this is a big one here. Defendant Jamel Demon's motion to compel discovery. State Attorney's Office, specifically State Attorney Christine Bradley, violated the law by committing a felony. by representing to this honorable court that she could not supply the alleged content of a cell phone alleged to belong to or used by the defendant Demons because it contained child P. Upon learning that the state has already distributed that material in the form of a hard drive to defense counsel immediately sealed the hard drive and never opened it due to this announcement. State should supply the defense with another hard drive while any child's P is redacted. Melly's team is saying Christine Bradley distributed child P. I've been seeing people on Facebook, by the way. The comments on Facebook are off the rails, by the way, boys. People were confused by the child P. It's clearly him and his girlfriend. It's not actually like Melly's not attracted to children. And here's another motion to exclude testimony of Danny Polo, the gang expert with the mask. Any such evidence or testimony regarding gangs would therefore be irrelevant and immaterial. And they list some Florida rules. Okay. Far more prejudicial than probative, since the concept of a gang necessarily produces egregious association in the minds of the jury. The expert in this case, Danny Polo, is merely a police officer. He, in his own admissions, has never been in a gang, nor has he ever infiltrated a gang. The Danny Polo guy was a very bad witness, in my opinion. He admitted he never infiltrated a gang. He never has been in a gang. He just like really was like nerdy about gangs and knew a bunch of shit and like slang. That's it. And he like knew people that infiltrated gangs, but he just knows a lot about gangs. I've said this a bunch, I know. Gang shit should not be in this case. These weren't gang killings. If Melly killed them, this wasn't a gang killing. All right, that's it. So a big deposition of the ASA who says Moretti lied. More motions to get rid of the phone pedometer. The detective Danny Polo and Melly and Bortland got charged with witness tampering. So some serious shit has gone down in the last 48 hours. So I'll keep covering this new to my channel. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Fucking love you guys. Peace out.